Good evening. Welcome to the 12th episode of the Shiv Nadar Foundation Conversations that been doing the last month and a half. My name is Sundar Mahalingam. I am the Chief Strategy Officer of the Shiv Nadar Foundation. The reason we did this, or put this together, is, as you know, the world is going through unprecedented times. There's so many things that are happening in the world, and all of us are sort of locked down at homes. So we felt it'll be a good time for us to bring various people, inspirational people together, artists, business people, various people from various walks of life, and sort of have a conversation with them about their life, what they are doing, and what is it that what are their views in this difficult time, and also and bring this to our a host of our people, all our students, our faculty, our alumni, our various other people whom we interact with on a regular basis. So we thought it would be nice to do this, and we're very happy to say that it's been very popular and very successful. And we are today, as I mentioned, in the 12th episode of the conversations, and we hope to go on till the time that we feel that it makes impact for people. So that's broadly what I wanted to talk about the conversations. And our guest today is Mr. Manoj Kohli, and many of you will know him. He will need no introduction, but very quickly, Mr. Kohli, I think his greatest, what people really know him for, is that he was the managing director of Bharti Airtel for a huge 20 years. Of course, prior to that, he started off with DCM Sriram, then he worked in Airtel for 20 years. And then he moved into SoftBank, and currently he's the country manager of SoftBank India, and he manages various things for SoftBank. So today's conversation will be with him, and I would like to invite him on board, and we can start this off. So let's get ready.
Good evening, Sundar. How are you?
Very well, Manoj. Very well. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for coming together with us and doing this conversation with us. So I'm just going to start off, Manoj, as we said, questions, and ask you some questions, and we'll have your views. We also later down the road, we'll have the audience ask you some questions, and then we'll do that as we go. But initially, let me start the ball rolling. First question was basically that you have, as I mentioned, you start off with DCM, then you moved on to Airtel, spent 20 years building the business from scratch, as you mentioned, up to 400 million business. And then 5 years ago, you moved into SoftBank, completely different to my mind, at least that's what I feel, in the area of energy, and now at SoftBank. So it's been a long and accomplished career. So I just thought maybe you could start off with telling us a little bit about some of the highlights and your experiences, your thoughts about this journey of yours.
The journey has been very gratifying. Just as a coincidence, today I start 42nd year of my industrial or professional life. So it looks like yesterday. It doesn't sound like 42 years, 41 years. I believe that it has been, every day has been very exciting. Every day of the week has been exciting. I've enjoyed Monday mornings in every challenge I've got. Of course, I've enjoyed the weekends also because I love them. My first 16 years was in manufacturing, and that was very plant-oriented, factory-oriented, starting with sugar mill in Dorala Sugar Mill and Mawana Sugar Mills, which was near Meerut. And then I worked in chemical works in Delhi, that was DCM, Shriram Group. And then in Calcutta for 3 years, and then in Hyderabad with Shriram Refrigeration for 3 years. So there were 5-6 assignments I did in 16 years at different locations. So it was kind of 5-6 companies in the same, but within the same group. And it was a fantastic experience. DCM has great management training scheme. I think the training is very intense, very high quality. The tutors are great, the supervisors are great. They teach you as if you are their child. So they are like parents. And then, of course, I joined Telecom, which was, you're right, about 20 years. And Telecom became my first love. And Telecom is the most exciting sector in the world. Even today, it is the most exciting sector in the world. And it is very tough too. And then that was 20 years. And then 5 years back, I joined SoftBank Energy, and we built renewable energy solar, wind plants in India, more than 5 gigawatt of those plants, high quality plants, large scale, 600, 700 megawatt plants all over the country. And now I'm the country head for SoftBank. We have more than 20 portfolio companies like Ola, Uber, Paytm, Lenskart, Oyo, and many others. All digital businesses, or all AI-led businesses, which I support and help the founders and CEOs to make the companies do better, better business model, all the government issues we resolve, and basically guide them on scaling up the companies faster. So gradually, my role has started with functional role and then went to P&L. So more than 30 years, I was a P&L manager. And now for the first time, since January this year, I have a role of a coach or a mentor to all these young, bright entrepreneurs.
Thanks, Manoj. That was very nice to put all of it together in such a short time. But let
And
me.
I've also, the one thing I forgot, I also worked for some time in US. I also worked in Japan, in China, in Africa, and each of these assignments were very high quality, in addition to India. So I think the experience of working in multiple countries, multiple cultures. By the way, in Africa, I had 55 nationalities working in my company. So it was a very high quality cross-cultural experience to work with so many nationalities. So I think those experiences are really very gratifying. I think we've lost Sundar.
Manoj, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I'm sorry, there was a
No.
technical issue.
I think it is from my end. I suddenly got lost. Yeah.
No
But
problem.
yeah. I was
I was
able to
just
hear.
saying that in addition, I just wanted to mention that, my experiences in US, Europe, China, Japan, and finally Africa were also very high quality. And I learned about multiple cultures. And one specific thing I want to mention, in Africa, I had 55 nationalities working in my organization. And that cross-cultural experience is also very, very unique and very gratifying.
Great. Thanks, Manoj. In fact, at HCL also, I think there are about, as you mentioned, about 100 odd nationalities working across the organization. And Shiv Nadar, who's our founder, also shares, as you know, the DCM experience. Like you, he was also a senior management trainee at DCM when he started. Of course, I think some years before you.
He's much senior to me.
Yeah,
I respect him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought we'll now deep dive a little bit into some areas because it's such a vast journey you've had. So it can't be sort of, we'll have to spend some time a little bit on each of these. First, I thought I'd talk about Airtel, which, as you mentioned, you were the telecom man in the 20 years that you worked for Airtel. So tell us about, I mean, it cannot have been easy to start from zero, go on to, 400 subscribers, through journeys, through markets, through countries, to geographies. Tell us some interesting points. I'm sure there are highs and lows, and we would love to know a little bit of both if you're okay with that.
No, that was, I will say, the most exciting period of these 41 years. Because we were creating something which from ground zero and building a new corporation right from India. And I had a pain in my heart when I passed out, and I said, no multinational company is born in India, whether it's Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore. Why? Why are all multinational large-scale corporations built in New York or London or Tokyo, etc., etc.? Why not in Delhi? Why not in Bombay?
Absolutely.
So that was a pain, and I really, and Sunil, luckily Sunil Mittal also had the same pain. He had an aspiration to build a very large scale corporation. So I think that was the driving force to build a world class organization, a world class business, and world scale business. We did, but we didn't do it in a traditional fashion. We did it in a modern, very new age fashion. And there are three highlights I like to mention. Number one, the unique business model. We created a most unique business model in the world, which was unique across the telecom world, of outsourcing network to Ericsson and Nokia, IT to IBM, all the call centers to BPOs, world-class BPOs, the towers to our tower company, and our distribution across the country, 3 million retailers, etc. They were all franchised. So this was a very new model which nobody had done, and we took a risk, and luckily the risk paid off. But the most important thing about this business model was that we decided that we'll be the lowest cost in the world. And if we are lowest cost in the world, no competition can touch us. And we can offer high degree of affordability to the customers, which I did. Today, if you see, this country has tariff of about 20 paisa per minute or per Mbps. Now, frankly, that kind of tariff nobody else in the world has. We are not only the lowest, but lowest by far. And still, telecom company, of course, they have gone through rough weather in the last few years, but telecom companies are still expected to come back in the next 2-3 years and be profitable. The second feature was brand. We built a brand from ground zero. There was no brand called Airtel. It was created by the company. The team really worked on it very well. All of us were very sensitive to building a brand which is admired brand, which is a household brand, whether it is a signature tune of Rahman or each brand touch point we were very nurturing, very careful, because brand is most important. Brand is the face of the company. And the third thing was performance culture. It was a very unique performance culture with huge degree of empowerment. Young team, lot of openness, lot of flexibility, huge degree of trust and empowerment. People could take decisions very fast. Of course, they had to decide with data, with analysis, but it was a company with agility, with flexibility, with a lot of humility also. We used to really, for example, everyone in the company, we had once 27,000 people, there were 50,000 people who were indirectly working for us in Ericsson, Nokia, IBM, and they all called Sunil as Sunil and me as Manoj. So it was a first name culture. There was no culture of superiority or levels. So it was a very different work culture compared to many companies of India. And I think these three things, I'll say: a unique business model, a brand which was admired, and a culture which was very modern, open, and flexible culture. These three things build that corporation of 400 million customers in 20 markets of the world.
Great, thanks, Manoj. So, but again, still on Airtel, which is tell me your most, how does one say, the moment when you had the big high. I'm sure there are thousands of such moments. There must have a couple of moments which stand out in your 20-year journey. This is that you recognized a moment of wow, and a moment of also sadness. It'd be lovely to have just two moments if you could tell us about that.
No, high. Uh, as a team, the high was that when we were the best company of the country, we were adjudged the best company of India, and getting that award was on behalf of our team was the high, because that was a dream every professional has, that you should be able to architect or build or support a team to build a company which is best company in the country, and also the number one brand across categories. Also, on personal basis, I remember the rural effort which we did, and I personally led it and visited thousands and thousands of villages, was most gratifying. And I remember one incident just now. I was driving from Mangalore on by road to Kasargod in Kerala, from Karnataka into Kerala. And near Kasargod, we stopped in a small village where we had launched the service about a week before. And I stopped there, and we were walking with the team, and in a small hut, very small hut, I saw an old man sitting outside the door, talking on the phone, and he was crying. They were, his eyes were moist. And so I asked my colleague, who was the district manager, to check, because I didn't know Malayalam, so to check in Malayalam, why is he crying? So he asked, and he said, I never could dream that I can talk to my son in Dubai by a phone at my house, from my house. And this is a dream which has come true today. So I'm saying that day I felt that, what is the societal impact which we did in more than 5 lakh villages of the country? And I went to thousands of them, sat with panchayats. Where will the tower be located? How will the diesel come? Where will the shop be opened? Who will work in those shops? How will the supply of SIM cards, etc., happen every second day, third day? So it was a fantastic building experience, building up a corporation, building up of a service. And I think if you create a company brick by brick, that is the most exciting and gratifying feeling, rather than maintaining a company. So I've always tried to go to ground zero. Even after Airtel, I came to SoftBank Energy. So we started with zero solar and wind plants, and then we built close to 5 gigawatt of the pipeline. That's most creating something is most exciting.
Absolutely. The ground up from zero, right? I understand what you're saying. So I'm getting a lot of questions on Airtel, but I'm going to hold them till the end. I'm just going to move a little bit, as you mentioned, into SoftBank. So I remember when you had come to meet us, Shiv and myself, you talked about how I've done 20 years of telecom. Now my next journey is 20 years of energy and other related aspects. So wonderful, wonderful dream that you had at that time. So tell us about how the move from this into SoftBank into energy, and now of course into so many interesting things that SoftBank is into in so many different ventures. So give us some. I know you talked about it, a little bit more color on that, please.
No, after 20 years in telecom, I felt that it's good time to transition and do something fresh, because one feels like doing something fresh. And luckily, renewable energy is a very exciting area. This is the biggest global industry transformation for the next 20 years, because the entire fossil energy, which is coal and oil, will transit to renewable energy, which is solar, wind, as well as in the automotive sector, from IC engine vehicles to electric vehicles. So these two transformations are actually happening together. And if you combine both of them, because both are linked to the power sector, both of them will be the biggest transformation globally, as well as in India. So I think it was very, very, again, a society impact of saving our future generations, saving our children from the pollution being created by fossil energy. And I think that is very, again, very gratifying to work for a company and help the society to save itself from the environmental issues. Now, luckily, I am in a role which supports more than 20 digital businesses of the company, SoftBank Group in India. And each of these businesses are using AI, artificial intelligence, for disrupting traditional businesses. For example, Uber and Ola, you know, are ride sharing. Paytm, digital payments. Lenskart is in a different. So each business has a Grofers is groceries on the online groceries. Delivery. So each business is a brand new digital business. And I think after this lockdown, the digital businesses will grow much faster, because the people, the masses of the world, including India, are now habituated, perforce, to using digital, to using online services, online shopping, online ordering. This is fantastic. I think the world will go through a major transformation towards digitization of every company, of every business now.
We can see some parts of it. This forced lockdown has forced us to, in our small way, get digitized. All of us, I think, everybody across.
No, I'll give you two examples which are most popular today. One is telemedicine, where if the doctor is 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers from you, you don't have to go there physically. You can use telemedicine. He can talk to you. He can do diagnostics, etc., etc. Other is online education. Now everything is online. I think I've talked to parents, and parents are saying that actually the learning is better quality, faster, and more productive. Whether they are US schools, Indian schools, everything is online. So the society is changing so rapidly towards digitization.
So on the current experience, we talked about digital businesses. So you're dealing with so many young and energetic digital businesses. It's a wide spectrum of people, right? Wide spectrum of businesses. Maybe all of them are technologically based and all of them in the digital space. So very curious to understand whether, in your view, are they very similar? Are they very different? Is the way you deal with them the same? I mean, what is the personal nature of these people? These very, very, very interesting people who you're working with so closely now.
Their businesses are very different from each other. They are in different industries. They're different. They started at different times, but different kind of people. But the common factors are that they are young entrepreneurs. They are passionate. They have a great idea. They have a high degree of knowledge and experience of technology. And they have great aspiration to build large corporations. And many of them will. Many of them will be very, very big entrepreneurs in the next 10 years. But what they want, and that's where I try to help, is how to scale up, how to do 10x, 20x, and what are the complexities during the scale up period. Because as you scale up, there are many, many complexities, new complexities which come up. If you scale up from 1x to 2x to 3x, it's different kind of complexity. But if you scale up to 5x, 10x, 20x, it's very different kind of complexity. And therefore, you need to always remain open and flexible to the change. And if the change is proactive, that is better. If the change is made proactively, that is better. Otherwise, you waste 6 months, waste time, and then you have to rework or correct yourself.
So the game is in the scaling, is what you're saying. And scaling is very different. I know a lot of our viewers are very interested in how does one scale and the key, but I'll come to that a bit later. I just wanted to move a bit forward about, of course, our current situation. So again, as somebody who's who's so well connected and you see what's happening around you and have great insight. Tell us about the current time, about this. What is your view about COVID, about the future, about how do you think people will change? How do you think businesses will change? Your thoughts on this will be very interesting.
Firstly and foremost, this is a temporary situation. It will pass. And this is a crisis where you should look at it as an opportunity. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's painful for many of us. But we have to not let this crisis pass. We have to take advantage by building ourselves individually into stronger people, into fitter people, into people with new aspirations who will build business models which are stronger, into companies which will plan for future in a new way, with new business models, with new products, with new markets, with new performance cultures. And I think this is a good introspection time for us to modify our business plans, business models. And business models will be far more digital compared to offline. Or maybe there'll be a mix of offline and online both. So I think this is too important a crisis to go waste. Let go waste. We have to use it fully to advantage. And I am confident many companies will do that. And it'll pass. It'll pass. It'll give a lot of advantages to people. Yes, short term could be painful. The companies are now conserving cash. They're eliminating a lot of wasteful costs. But my only request to managers and leaders is to be very empathetic to people, to be very sensitive to people, especially your good performers, because this talent is difficult to get. And please give them hope. Please give them optimism, which is very important for leaders to share, because this will pass. It's a matter of another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever period. I can't be very precise, but it will pass. When it passes, you need to come back with a bang. You need to come back. The company has to come back, and it will normalize very fast. Let me assure you that also. It will not take too much time to normalize once the crisis is over.
So I'm just going to ask one last question because of this paucity of time before this thing, which is about. I was very intrigued to read that you, in one of your talks, you talked about how ancient Indian values are very important in what I call Indian businesses, and you were very passionate about that. So just wanted what values are you talking about, and what is the relevance of that to what we do today?
No, I think what Indian values are, as we were talking for Corona also, a lot of Indian traditions, Indian values are taught by our parents, and those are coming helpful today. Maybe we forgot some of them. In business also, similarly, I feel that following good values, good character, and a consistent way of working to build a great culture is the only way to build a company which is for long. Because the Indian values don't teach you shortcuts. Indian values teach long cuts. That over a long period, the values will give you benefit. The values of hard work, the values of honesty, the values of humility. These are the values we were all taught by our parents, grandparents, from the books, from Gita, from Ramayana. And those are the values which actually we have to use in our corporations. Similarly, the values which we are taught in our family, because majority of us are middle class families. The value of frugality, for example. Like my mother, she taught all of us that you can take food 5 times, even 10 times if you want to. But when the plate comes back to kitchen, it should be clean. There should be no food wasted, zero wastage. So it's a value of frugality and zero wastage, which can be used in the company also. And I actually have ran all businesses in my life by the same value. You don't need to be different in business. You need to be same frugality at home and same frugality in business. So that way, I have tried all my life to utilize many of these family values, our traditional values, but our books have taught us, and it is good. It is sustainable.
Right. So let me then now take some questions from people before let's some interesting. Okay, there's a question which says that is India ready for the green transformation? What are your views, given of course your view in the energy sector as well?
India is absolutely ready because globally this train has left. It has left the station. It can't come back. Globally, India is maybe the second biggest market for solar and wind. We have a target of 200 plus gigawatt by 22 and 450 gigawatt by 2030. Now, we are already more than 70 gigawatt in solar and wind. At the same time, we have a oil usage, oil imports, oil and coal imports of more than 100 billion a year. So it's better, and I think government is very, very eager that we utilize our own resources of sunshine. India has huge sunshine. India has very good wind in the 3,000 kilometers of coastal areas. So we should use our sunshine. We should use our wind for the purposes of energy. Now, energy will go into our factories, our homes, our offices, as well as electric vehicles. So over the next 10 years, there'll be a massive transformation in India. And I'm so happy that the Prime Minister, as well as the government, is taking a leadership position in this.
Great, thanks. That the question was from Freddie Swain, who's the Danish ambassador. Just we'll be interested now. It's a very important question. We all think about that. I'm just okay. One more interesting one, which why are valuations of startups high compared to revenue? So this is, I think, a question in everybody's mind. Why is it like that? What are people seeing? And your views on this one?
This is a difficult question because worldwide there is a feeling like this. These valuations are growth linked because these digital companies are disrupting existing established industries, which are worth billions and billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And once they are disrupting the businesses through a AI focus, through digital focus, the cost is very different from the past established businesses, and the ramp up and the scale up is much faster. So therefore, you can see businesses globally which has become very big, like Google, Facebook, and many others, which also started as digital startups and now become big. In China, you see businesses like Alibaba, which have become so big. In India, businesses like Amazon has come into India, Flipkart, and many others have become. So as they reach to a scale, these businesses are unmatchable. So all the valuations are built for the growth model. And along with the growth model, if you are able to get the P&L right, which means that you are able to get the revenues and profits after a certain gestation period, then it becomes a very viable, profitable business model. And that's the help I'm trying to give to all my portfolio companies. And also the founders are working very hard so that the business model is profitable.
Great, thanks. So Manoj, one question back on the telecom sector. So the question is, what do you see as the next disruption? Because there's been lots of disruptions in the market, and Airtel has been responsible for some of them. There are some others who have. But from your insider view, in a sense, what do you think will be the next, or what do you expect will be the next disruption in the market on the telecom space?
No, telecom in India has gone through many ups and downs in the last 25 years. I've been looking at it for 25 years, from the day mobile internet started. And there have been many disruptions. Now the next disruption, now the stage of telecom is consolidation, where the industry is getting consolidated into 3+1, 4 operators. And I think that's very important for India to consolidate and make the industry healthy industry. The first objective is being a healthy industry, financially healthy industry. Once it is a healthy industry, because there is no other industry which has to invest billions and billions of dollars in 3G and then in 4G and now in the next few years in 5G. Now, how can you invest billions and billions of dollars into the license fee as well as the new equipments if the health of the industry is weak. So I think that's the biggest change and transformation which will happen to this industry in the next 3 to 5 years. On one hand, it will become healthy, and on the other hand, 4G will be national in every village, and gradually 5G will also come into the country with much higher speeds. But I think the online behavior of even small towns and villages is changing. That's the most gratifying news, that a housewife in Haldwani, in Coimbatore, in Jammu, in Guwahati, in even much smaller towns and villages, they are doing shopping on the mobile. They are ordering things on the mobile. They are doing many things on the mobile, and I think they're enjoying the speeds which are there on the mobile now. So that transformation, digital transformation, has started. And because India's infrastructure is a bit weak compared to West, I think that infrastructural gap can be overcome only by digital transformation.
Thanks, Manoj. Again, an interesting question. Segueing from you talked about small towns. Somebody's asking, what will be the economic scenario of rural India post-COVID or due to COVID? What are you? I mean, where do you think this is going? Because we're all worried about that, as you can imagine, right?
No, I think rural India is in good shape because this year there have been record crops. I think I have read the case study of Punjab. Punjab has had in last 15 days a record harvest, and India will have overall a record crop this year, which is fantastic, because for India to be in a position to feed 1.3 billion people and also export to some extent, I think is great. Luckily, the monsoon is expected to be good this year, normal this year. So with all this, I believe the rural India will be in by next year. Maybe this year there could be some struggle because of lockdown, but by next year, rural India will be in good shape. Government also is very eager, and industry is eager to open up the lockdown. So today, if urban areas are not opening up as fast, but rural is open. There are close to 350 districts of India out of 736 districts, which are green districts, and majority of them are rural districts.
The question is, how do you keep yourself up to speed in this changing digital landscape, especially banking telecom? I mean, how do you, Manoj, or how does one say? There's so many things changing, and as we discussed that you and I are, how does one say, a slightly older generation. So how do you keep yourself personally up to speed?
No, we are not older generation. We are young people. I think the biggest thing is your attitude. You need to have an open and flexible mind. An open and flexible mind is bigger than MBA degree. You know, I will prefer a guy who has an open, flexible mind with a lot of hunger compared to a degree, because the people who have this quality will progress much faster and they'll learn much faster. Because learning is the name of the game. And if you can learn faster and apply that learning faster, that is the biggest quality which you will have to display and manifest in your day-to-day life. And at my age, because I'm more than 60 now, it's learning as well as unlearning. So let me share with you that I am also unlearning very fast, which is very difficult. Let me tell you, it's not easy.
Absolutely.
Because this brain, you need to also unlearn and make space in the brain for a lot of new learning. Every day there's so much new learning. So when you're young, it is intensity of learning. And when you're getting a bit older, it is intensity of both learning and unlearning.
Fabulous. That's, I think, a wonderful response. I remember Sherlock Holmes once talked about how the brain is like an attic, and you have to know what to store and what to keep out away and keep in. That sort of this thing. So I think you're saying something very similar. One question in terms of your on your personal life, as in, so what do you do on your time? I know you have two lovely daughters, and so how do you spend your time? I know you're busy right through, but what do you do otherwise?
No, my life is very simple. It is in two boxes. One is work, other is family and friends. And I spend the time when I'm not working with my family. I spend time with friends. I spend time in exercise. Fitness is very important for me. So I spend time in the morning, spend time in the evening. I need to be fit and fitter as the days go by, because mental and physical fitness is most important for performance. And there are a lot of people who are not giving as much importance to that, but I will suggest to everyone that fitness should be sacrosanct.
There's a slightly controversial question, which is that, do you think Indian values are absorbed in Indian businesses? You talked about Indian values. Do you think other businesses or business in general absorb them? And if not, why not? And if so, why so?
It's difficult to give a clear answer because many business organizations follow it, some follow it less. I believe that the right model is blend of Indian values and modern technology. If an organization is able to blend these two together, I think that is the most powerful mix. That combo of good Indian values, of hard work, humility, honesty, plus modern technology is the most potent combo to win in tomorrow's business. And many companies are trying to do that. And those are the companies we should on look out for.
So Manoj, I believe we are sort of running out of time, but a couple of two questions. One, Anand Raman says, what is your message? Because a lot of students and alumni here, your message to budding entrepreneurs and students who aspire to run startups, especially in these difficult COVID times. What advice would you give them?
No, my advice is very simple, that think of your customer very deeply. How is customer behavior changing? And modify your business model proactively, because customer behavior has to be observed very, very closely. What are the new expectations of customers in the last 60 to 90 days and maybe next 60 to 90 days? And those changes are very crucial for modifying your app, modifying the customer experience on your app, modifying the business model to make it closer to the customer's heart, and of course, making it more profitable. So I think that's the most important thing entrepreneurs and students should do now, because customer is not static. Customer is very dynamic. And if the startups are able to catch the customer's aspirations or expectations, you will succeed, surely succeed.
Wonderful, Manoj. Thank you so much. I think that's pretty much what we had, in a sense, some of the questions, some of the interesting thoughts that we had. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It was truly enjoyable to chat up with you and get your views. And yes, I've always, whenever I interact with you, it's always been about optimism, about about the future, about doing things, but with what I call feet firmly on the ground, without moving from there, but the head is in the skies. I think if anybody can say as a what I call a remark about you, I think that would ring true to the way you handle this. And so, on behalf of all our people, all the people who are viewing, I am delighted to thank you so much for spending time with us. And that's all for now. I would just like to remind our viewers that those who want to, who have been unable to catch this lovely session, it's up on Facebook. You can see it. It's recorded. You can see it later. And thank you so much. And of course, we will continue to do these conversations with people again.
Thank you so much. Sundar. I'm grateful to you.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Wonderful.
Bye.
Yeah.